And I promised y'all we was gonna be back, and we are. Okay. And it's going down today on this Tuesday. You know the vibes. It's going down tonight. And man, when I tell you we got a stacked show today, I mean that sincerely. Okay, we got a loaded show for y'all, man. We are week capping week 6 in the NFL in the books. We are getting at the halfway point. And because we are there, we got our buy and sell segment coming up later on in the show. We got some games to recap. We got some blockbuster trades that went down today. We got our guy Zay. We ain't come to play. I mean, it's going down. Okay, man. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We are on TikTok right now as well. It's good to be going live on TikTok. This is the second show that I am live on TikTok right now. So I'm gonna let y'all know on TikTok that we are going to air the first two topics live, okay, for y'all on TikTok. But in order for y'all to watch the rest of the show, and best believe me, you want to make sure you watch the rest of the show because we got our guys Zach and Zay, and we got a lot of topics. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We're gonna be on YouTube as well, so make sure same name, Real Lil TV, without the underscores. So if you like what you hear, make sure after topic number 2, you make it do what it do and come over to YouTube. Okay. Now, without further ado, I'm going to pass over the mic to my guy Zach, who's back. Zach, how you feeling?
Well, what's up, my guy? Doing well. Happy to be here as always. And it is crazy because waking up this morning, you feel that chill in the air. It's the beginning of the month of October. I believe it was, the last time I was on, we spoke about what is our favorite sports month of the year. And we agreed, really, all of us, that October was that month. And it's lived up to the hype so far. Another crazy week in the NFL where road teams really dominated. I was feeling watching the NFL this past week that home field advantage has really never meant less. You saw road teams dominate. And then in baseball, I'm really looking forward to the segment about the MLB playoffs today. Going to get into the Mets, getting into the Yankees. It's a great time to be a New Yorker. Great time to be here with you guys. And just so much to talk about. Hope everyone's doing well.
Zay, what's going on, my guy? What's the vibes looking like here in New York on this cold Tuesday?
Well, the New York Mets are playing baseball in October, so the vibes is always great. New York sports is taking over October. This is something you can't make up. This has been a while, a very long time since most of the New York teams are playing very important games between the Liberty, between the Mets, the Yankees, even the Giants and Jets are playing important games. It's crazy how important October is in 2024, but it's always a good vibe. It was always good here talking with Lil and Zach about sports. It was a lot that happened this past weekend, a lot that just happened today alone. We're going to talk about in a few minutes, but please like and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard here. I know you want to see the latest and greatest. You want to have a new formulated opinion on the new media. What's the new media? And we're all here to give you that information. I'm locked and loaded, ready to go.
Support
Well,
new media.
before you hop back in, I just had a quick comment on something that Zay said. The past 48 hours in New York have honestly been something I've never seen before. On Sunday, you had the Mets playing game 1 of the CS going up against the Giants, who were playing on Sunday Night Football. And then yesterday, we had the Mets at 4 o'clock in the CS game 2, the Yankees at 7 o'clock in game 1 of their series, and then the Jets on Monday Night Football. Zay mentioned the Liberty too. And by the way, on Sunday night, when I'm watching the Mets, when I'm watching the New York Giants against the Bengals, just when you thought that was it, I see this film of Dante DiVincenzo on the free throw line, jawing at Tom Thibodeau. Maybe there was a little bit more bad blood than we thought after that trade went down. So just when you thought you couldn't have enough, by the way, the hockey season just started as well. All of the local teams were in action yesterday. Just when you thought we didn't have plenty, we have more because the NBA season is about to start soon. And just thought I'd bring that up because that really caught my attention watching Dante DiVincenzo showing he has no love lost for the New York Knicks, getting into it with Thibodeau and Rick Brunson after the game.
Look, anything to ignore Eric Adams' issues, right, Lil?
Yeah. I mean, fellas, we got a question on TikTok right away. We might as well answer that before we proceed. Would any of you trade Davante, Chubb, and Laporta for Justin Jefferson?
All 3 for Justin Jefferson?
All 3. I guess it's all 3 for 1.
Absolutely not.
Seems like a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That's a little bit hefty, my brother. Okay. But yeah, we might as well begin with the first topic that we have right now. And boy, let's get right to it. Is the Jets post Robert Saleh era off to a good start despite the Monday Night Football loss to the Bills? And Zach, you haven't you wasn't on the show the last time we did the show when Robert Saleh got fired. So I'm gonna pass over the mic to you to kick us off.
Yes, well, it's hard to say that the Jets in the post Robert Saleh era got off to a good start last night because I woke up this morning, to be honest with you guys, feeling the lowest I've felt as a Jet fan since before they traded for Aaron Rodgers. Like, of any day of the Aaron Rodgers era, this morning was probably the worst I felt about the team because yesterday's game was so important. Even though you fired your coach after only 4 games, or 5 games, if the Jets would have won that game yesterday, they would have been by themselves in first place in the AFC East. And Buffalo, credit to them. They're a team that has won the division for a few straight years now. They have a winning pedigree, and they just found a way to get the job done last night. And they now have a 2-game lead in the AFC East. So the division, they're in a very good spot for that. But it was just such an uninspiring effort from the Jets last night. Really, when the game first started, you see Ray Davis just running the ball down the Jets' throat time after time after time again. And I do think that getting rid of Robert Saleh and demoting Nathaniel Hackett, I thought that those were 2 moves that in the big picture will make the team better. But one concern I did have was when you move Jeff Ulbrich out of that defensive coordinator role, now he has the duties of a head coach, and he's not going to be able to focus on the defense, which has been one of the best in the league under his watch over the course of the last few years. And really, since the start of the season, the Jets defense has been very undisciplined on the offensive side of the ball last night as well. Although I thought Todd Downing did a pretty good job calling plays. I thought the Jets offense looked the best it's looked all season last night. There were just a couple key mistakes on both sides of the ball that really cost them, from just brutal holding penalties to not being able to stop the run. The referees were not the reason why the Jets lost, but they had some head scratching calls that went both sides in this game. And I just thought that was such a frustrating loss because that was the best Aaron Rodgers has looked in a Jets uniform so far, throwing the ball all over the field. Garrett Wilson had 100 yards. Allen Lazard, of course, catching that Hail Mary. He had 100 yards. Breece Hall looked pretty good, but even though those guys looked pretty good, they also made crucial mistakes that really did cost the team. Like Breece Hall, he had his best run of the season, and he has one guy to beat, and he can't beat him. He runs out of bounds by himself at the 2-yard line. The Jets had to settle for a field goal there. Garrett Wilson, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a star in the making. But if you're a superstar wide receiver, if you want to be a superstar wide receiver, you could have held on to that ball in the end zone. But the main culprits of this game, I thought, were all key, as here's the Hail Marys we're watching. The 3 guys that I think
It's
really
actually the 2-minute one in play. Mike Williams slip.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought that, Will, because Mike Williams, we don't really know what exactly his future holds with the Jets. It's probably not a lot after this Davante Adams trade that we're going to get into, but Mike Williams really cost the team last night. To fall down in that spot, that can't happen. And then in the week before against Minnesota, he had that crucial drop late, or leading to the interception. He cost them last night. You also look at Greg Zuerlein, a kicker that's been very good for the Jets over the course of the last few years, but he missed a couple crucial kicks last night that really, really cost the team. And Tyron Smith, a guy that is a Hall of Fame left tackle who is such a good Dallas Cowboy, he had a couple brutal penalties that really cost them. And that's not a good look for Joe Douglas, because those are 3 of your top free agent signings that really did not work. So I think the most frustrating part about that game last night is the offense looked very good. Aaron Rodgers played very well, I thought, and he made other guys around him better. And the excitement of the team should be pretty high after trading for Davante Adams, but it's hard to feel that way because of that bummer of a loss last night. And now the Jets have really dug themselves in a hole. They're 2-4 right now. I will say, though, the one saving grace is that the schedule does start to get much easier. But I think the next 3 games are very important. They will go to Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football against the Steelers. That's not going to be an easy game. We're still not sure what exactly they're going to be doing at quarterback, but that's a 50-50 game. You got to find a way to win. Then they have the Patriots, who should win that game. And then they play the Texans at home in another primetime game. So I do think if the Jets could just find a way to get to 2-1 in their next 3 games and then really hit the easy portion of the schedule, there is hope. But that was a bummer last night because that was a very winnable game that they couldn't get the job done in.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here real quickly. Say hope is for the Pope. All right, let's start off there. Okay. Now, sure, it was good to see the Jets getting Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson involved in the offense, right? I believe Brees Hall had 169 yards on 23 touches, and Garrett Wilson had 8 catches for 107 yards. Okay. Now, Garrett Wilson this week didn't need 22 targets to get that 100. Okay. So it was good to see him involved in Brees as well, out of the backfield, catching passes, being that explosive threat that we know him to be prior to the start of this year. Now, it does not change the fact that Robert Saleh was the scapegoat here. Okay, his intel was defense, okay, not offense. So if we want to talk about encouraged by the Jets in the post Robert Saleh era, no, he was scapegoated. His intel is defense, not offense. Removing Nathaniel Hackett and upgrading Todd Downing to the offensive coordinator role is what created that offensive spark that Robert Saleh was trying to create when he tried to do the same thing that Jeff did, the new head coach now, which I don't get, which is why I always knew that this firing from the beginning was out of two options. And it's not the option that came out of Jets camp. It's two options. Option A, Aaron Rodgers got him fired. Option B, the Lebanese flag that he wore during the anthem a multitude of times got Woody Johnson, who is Jewish, the owner, upset. Okay, because this was the same owner who back in 2009, let's go back in the day, my brother, even though it's not 1999 anymore, let's go to 2009, shall we? He brought religion into scheduling when he complained to the NFL that scheduling games on Jewish holidays is an issue. When all actuality, don't we have Christmas Day games and New Year's Day? But nevertheless, that's not the point of the topic here. But I just want to give you reference there. The firing of Jets Robert Saleh didn't create a spark. It created more issues. Did you see the Jets defense last night? Did you see my guy Mike Davis being able to run the ball consistently on the ground for 109 yards? Yeah, 149, excuse me, averaging 6 yards per play. James Cook didn't even play in this game, bro. And that's their bell cow. Josh Allen was able to have success through the secondary. Okay, what we doing here? All right, the Jets went 1 for 4 in the red zone, missed 2 field goals. A touchdown got wiped away due to a holding call. You know what that tells me? It's the same old Jets, and they definitely has lost my respect. Zay, you up, man?
You know, I'm just so glad that Lil basically said in all those words, Zay, you are right in your last take you had about the Jets. You are absolutely right, because I said this exact thing. Changing the coaches does not change the mentality of this football team. They are very undisciplined, had 11 penalties on over 100 yards, right? They missed 2 crucial touchdowns. I think Ruckert missed a crucial pass in the middle of the field, couldn't hold the ball. Wilson couldn't hold the football. Brees Hall had a 50-plus yard run and didn't score a touchdown with 1 man to beat. He was still running on the damn sideline, scared for his life. Didn't cut back in or nothing. This team is clearly not in there mentally. It's not a skill issue. Mentally, they're not in the game. Kinlaw had like 5 penalties by himself. It's undisciplined. It doesn't make any sense. And then you, after the game, Mike Williams, we talk about during the game, excuse me, not after the game. Mike Williams, and I said this on the show 2 shows ago, Zach, when I said that the details, right? The small details is what cost the Jets the game. 2 games ago, Garrett Wilson overran a ball. Tyler Conklin overran a ball. Guys are not turning heads on time. This game, same thing. Mike Williams, you have the only one job. Run the red line.
And look at him, bro.
Run.
He acting like he got hurt. He ain't hurt. Look at this dude. Why you holding your head for, bro?
Because he don't want to get booed. It's horrible, right? But I had to hear from Lil telling me, "Oh, changing the coach is a change the dynamic of this team." He told me it was a schematic issue. It was not a schematic issue. He told me it was a scheme issue. That's why Robert Saleh gone. You're gonna see a difference in the scheme. He said it in the chat too. Oh, look, I told you it's a scheme. It's Brees. Look at Brees. Look at Garrett Wilson.
You gotta miss. It
is a mentality issue. This team thinks they're bigger than what they are. They think they're way better than what they are. And that's the main issue here. This Jets team is horrendous because they're not locked into the game. They think they're better than everyone, and you see in the way they play, they think they could get away with making those small errors, making those small issues. Even the defense, we let Ray Davis run for 97 yards. Who is that guy? Everybody runs the football against the Jets, just run over us. It doesn't make any sense. The man had 5 yards per carry. And people keep talking about the Jets defense like they're amazing. The broadcast, oh, they're the second best defense in the NFL. Where? Good defenses stop runs. They stop good runs. It doesn't make any sense how they try to glamour about how good this defense is. The defense is not good. So I say we're not off to a good start in a post-Robert Saleh era because the issues still lie there. They do not take care of the small details, the small issues, which cause losses. Those are the ones that cause the losses. We're not giving up bombs down the field. We're not giving up 100-yard runs. We are self-inflicting ourselves with all these penalties in the red zone, holding calls on third downs and short, third downs and long that create opportunities for the other team to go in and win these games. It's horrendous. Something needs to change. It needs to clean house. This Jets team needs to clean house. It is disgusting what is happening on a week-to-week basis.
Yo, Zay, I need you to circle back to your wild accusation of me saying something that I don't even know I said. So let's go back to it. What did you say that I said that's wrong?
You said that the Jets had a scheme issue and that when Robert Saleh's gone, that scheme issue will change, which will cause a better looking offense. Meanwhile, it did not. The offensive line is still giving them pressures, still giving them sacks, still getting holding calls, because the issue with the Jets has always been those penalties, false starts, holdings, and now illegal shifts. The Jets have been prone to this for the last 2-3 years. And you told me with Robert Saleh gone and with now Hackett not being the offensive coordinator that things will just change. Like we can expect a change to happen. I told you it's going to be the same old thing no matter who's the coach because the players are not locked in as we think they are.
Look, it's either two things there. Either I smoked a big fat joint before I came on the air and I don't smoke, so that's out the window immediately, or you just got it wrong. And you just got it wrong. What I said was that when Nathaniel Hackett, who is the problem, is gone or demoted, that the offense would look better because he is the one calling the plays. Robert Saleh has nothing to do with the offense. He has everything to do with the defense when he was coaching the team. So clearly we saw with Nathaniel Hackett demoted last night that the offense looks better. Breece Hall, it's not ironic that he had his best game last night because he finally woke up and said, I'm going to be great today. No, because of certain protections and scheme protections and certain changes that allows guys to get open and get the ball and allows your offensive line to block right. That's what I was saying. I didn't say nothing about it. It has nothing to do with Robert Saleh.
They didn't block right. They didn't block. The Jets' offensive line was not good last night. Did you see Tyron Smith?
Well, Breece Hall still had an impact on the game. Breece Hall still had an impact on the game. Last night was his best game this year.
Was the Al Lazard Hail Mary from the halftime. If he didn't get that touchdown, this game was over. It was done because we couldn't get nothing going.
Let me say this. I think the offense did look a lot better last night. I thought it was the best Rodgers looked. I think Breece Hall, aside from that one time he couldn't get into the end zone, which you could make the case really did cost the team, I did think he looked much better. I think Garrett Wilson looked better. Alan Lazard looked good. The offensive line, they really messed this up. Just penalties. And Tyron Smith, man, I'm not expecting, I know he's older. I know he's injury prone. I'm not expecting him to be his peak self that we saw in Dallas, but Braylon Allen was in the end zone when he committed that hold on the 1 yard line. And you just knew after that, it was really going to cost them. Greg Zuerlein, I know it was a windy night, but those missed kicks really cost the team. And let's get into this Adams trade right now, guys. Like, I think it makes the offense better, but to be honest, especially with Downing now calling plays, I don't really think that's my worry with this team. The worry is the defense, because Jeff Ulbrich, you take him out of his defensive coordinator role, I don't know if he's going to be able to use the same focus that he's been using in years past on that unit when they were among the best in the league. And that's really my whole issue with this. Robert Saleh, I think long-term getting rid of him was the right move, but my main issue with it is it should have happened in the offseason. The fact that it happened in week 5 after a 2-2 start, that just puts everyone out of position right out of the gate, including Ulbrich, who I do think it was deserving to get a head coaching opportunity, but The Jets could have brought in Mike Vrabel in the offseason. They could have brought in an experienced guy to come in and run this team. And that's really my issue with it. They're too late with their decision-making. And that really just all goes back to ownership. The reason why we come on this show week after week, season after season at saying, oh, it's the same old Jets. It's because of ownership. That's really where it starts, right at the top. And Woody Johnson, there are no words to describe just how inept he is as an owner of this team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would like to give credit to Buffalo too, because a lot of it was, obviously we got to address the elephant in the room. The flags was annoying in the game. I believe it was over 20 flags. I mean, it looked like the referees were being shown more than the actual game itself. Every time they had to call something, and I get it, like you got to make the calls, but I mean, come on, bro, it was hard to watch last night. It took away from a interesting game that went down to the wire. Now, I just would like to give Buffalo credit because I think they're well coached. And I think a lot of people got on Sean McDermott not last night, but last week because of his game management. And maybe that is an issue going forward. But they're well coached. Look at that defense. That defense that was decimated, that was subtracted during the offseason, all the best players on the team. And you got rookies like Taylor Rapp, who was making a rep for himself as being a guy that makes game-winning plays. I mean, he stopped Brees Hall on I believe it was a run that was about to be a score. He made the tackle, touchdown saving tackle, and the Jets had to revert for a field goal. He had two plays that he made after that. I believe it was one where he hit Garrett Wilson in the end zone. That also saved the touchdown. And he also had a big breakup on third down when Aaron Rodgers threw the ball to his tight end on 3rd and long. He made that play. He made game-winning plays. And when you're a well coach, you get rookies like that or young players like that that's going to make an impact on the game in a high-profile moment. So you do got to give Buffalo a lot of credit for, the victory last night and not just only the Jets being the same old Jets that they are.
So let's get into these trades now, guys.
Yes, sir.
The Jets land Davante Adams. The Bills land Amari Cooper. Does this change either team's outlook for the remainder of the season in your guys' mind?
Zay, you up, man?
I think for the Bills, it actually changed their outlook a lot. We've seen a lot of Matt Collins and Keon Coleman go ball routes. We've seen a lot of Khalil Shakur under their sticks getting the football. I think with Amari Cooper there, it allows a lot more guys to have free flowing motion. I think Kincaid is a guy who's going to benefit a lot from Amari Cooper being there because Kincaid is a guy who's mainly in the middle of the field, kind of like open in a sense, but Josh Allen's too busy looking at his receivers. I think with Amari Cooper, he's going to attract a lot of defenders around him. That's going to cause a lot more people to get open. In this situation that they had, a lot of guys had to kind of fight to get open. We saw a lot of times with Matt Collins, Keon Coleman, a lot of tough contested catches. Even Kincaid having a lot of tough contested catches. And I think Amari Cooper allows them to play a little more free. And I think the Bills going to have a good time actually having now a true wide receiver one on that team. And I think Josh Allen's going to connect with him a lot. In terms of Davante Adams with the Jets, they're trying to, again, stack the talent onto this receiving core to shy away from the lack of protection that Aaron Rodgers gets. When you have Adams, when you have Garrett Wilson on either side of the football, it's going to be very difficult for teams to stack the box or try to send many blitzes because both of those guys can catch contested. They're very difficult to defend one-on-one. And Rodgers going to have to let the ball loose, right? And it's going to hopefully the line gives them enough protection to make that happen. What does that also mean? It also means that Mike Williams is probably on his way out because Allen Lazard is playing the best he's played in his career. He's tied in the NFL with touchdowns at 5. And Adams, Lazard, Rodgers, Packers, and then Garrett Wilson. So Mike Williams, it looks like he's on his way out in terms of off the team or out of that rotation because there's not going to be really much snaps for him on the Jets with that addition to Davante Adams.
Yeah, it doesn't change the outlook for me for the Jets. It changed the outlook for the Bills. I would like to start off with the Jets. And I think Garrett Wilson is a loser. And I also think that the Jets' future is a loser as well. Look, Garrett Wilson had a good game, the best game of his season this year. And I would have preferred to see him grow into being that number one wide receiver, that true number one wide receiver. Rodgers, he has a lot of chemistry with Allen Lazard, and you could see that. He has more chemistry with Lazard than he did with Garrett Wilson. And now you're bringing Davante Adams to the team to be the true number one guy. That's going to take away from my guy Garrett Wilson, who started his career off to a good start. Right, he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He had back-to-back weeks of 100-yard performances. You would like to see that trajectory go up further into him being that Davante Adams S type of player that a lot of people propped him up to be this year. And now you're bringing a guy like Davante Adams, you taking on that expensive contract, your future, like what's going to happen after Aaron Rodgers leaves. You got 22 players on your roster right now who was going to hit free agency next year or in 2025, which is next year. That includes guys like DJ Reed, Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, Tyler Conklin, other guys as well. I mean, I don't really, yeah, sure, make the move if that's what you feel is right. But I like what I saw from Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson last night. But hey, it is what it is. As far as the Bills is concerned, they're the big winners here. Their outlook is bigger than just the AFC East. I think they could compete for a championship. Amari Cooper could do what Davante Adams can. They're very elite route runners. Probably both of them is arguably top 5 in the game in that department. And the Bills needed a true number one. When you look at their schedule, the last 2 weeks and last night, these last 3 games was a measuring stick to see if they had enough weaponry on offense for Josh Allen with all the subtractions they had during the offseason, losing Gabe Davis, losing Stephon Diggs. And I think they got the answer, even in the win last night, that they need a true alpha. Keon Coleman is good, but he's not a guy that can create separation. He's a guy that you just throw the 50-50 balls to and let him make it do what it do. Khalil Shakir is a good guy in the slot, but he's not an alpha. Mac Hollins, he's not an alpha. Okay, had some red zone opportunities. There was a route that he ran where he could have gave his quarterback more space to throw the football. Instead, he didn't, and it got batted down. You need an alpha. Cooper is that alpha. I like Buffalo. I think they can compete for a championship. As far as the Jets, I think they still got work to do.
So I think we're all on the same page when it comes to the Cooper trade. I think this is very good for Buffalo. They needed a number 1 wide receiver, and I like Shakir. He's really impressed me throughout the first couple weeks, but I think they're set up nicely with Cooper and Shakir as the clear 1-2, have Coleman as your 3 to really grow. We mentioned James Cook didn't play last night, so the Bills' offense is looking good. I think they need to get healthy on defense too. Like, it's a long season. Hopefully by the time we get to January, that unit will be healthier, and we'll see what they look like then. So I think the Cooper trade definitely makes the Bills better. When it comes to Adams, I'm not shocked the Jets were able to get this deal done, because when you look at it from Joe Douglas's perspective, we just saw it with Robert Saleh too. It just came early. We all know that if the Jets miss the playoffs this year, then the house is being cleaned and Joe Douglas is going to go as general manager. So if you're sitting in his shoes, why would you care if you have to give up a future 3rd round pick when you know that if you don't make the playoffs this year, you're not going to have a job anymore? You're not going to be the one running this team. So I think from that aspect, Adams to the Jets was always a deal that was likely going to happen. And I think the Jets offense should be pretty good. We saw what they looked like last night. Now you add Adams into the mix. The offensive line is a concern. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, because over the course of the last few weeks, he's just taken some brutal hits. So they really need to get that cleaned up. But my worry about the Jets, we've hit on it, is the defense. This is supposed to be one of the best units in the league, and I know they've been dealt a pretty bad hand with some injuries. Jermaine Johnson, the main one that comes to mind. DJ Reed, Chuck Clark was actually just placed on IR right before we started this show. But, we'll see what's going to happen with Hassan Reddick. I don't really know where I stand on it right now. The guy would definitely help the team, but at this point, do I want to pay him some big contract when he's probably not even in football shape, when I don't really know what impact he could even make, considering the fact he never reported to training camp, has not even been in the building over the course of the last 5 weeks. That's another real stain on Joe Douglas's resume right now, was that trade. I think they could have used Bryce Huff last night. I think they could have used John Franklin Myers last night. It was just embarrassing that Buffalo was running the ball right down their throats. So although I think the Adams trade was one they had to make, it's a trade that should make the offense better, the defense just has to play better as well, because if they're bad like they were last night, then what are we even doing here? What's the point,
Yeah, this is my last point. I think I would like to end here. I think New York is the big winner here. Star power in New York in general. I'm not talking about the Jets. I'm talking about New York. The star power in New York right now in the sports landscape because you look at the moves that the Knicks made in the NBA, two blockbuster deals in the same offseason for Mikal Bridges, for Karl Anthony Towns. And now you look at the Jets and they making a move for Adams to go alongside the acquiring of Rodgers that they had the year before last year. And now you look at New York and this is where the stars is at now. And I think when you have a big market, you have to play that to your advantage. I understand not everybody could play in New York. Not everybody's built to play in New York, as I said on my last take for 99. But New York needs star power, and it got a lot of it right now.
Real quick, I actually want to ask you two a question before we move on. With the addition of Davante Adams to the New York Jets, do you believe that this makes the claim that Aaron Rodgers plays an additional season beyond this season? Despite all the dysfunction, despite everything that's happening, with the addition of Adams and he's under contract for the next couple of years, do you think it extends Aaron Rodgers' life's NFL career one more year?
Zach, you want to answer that?
Sure. I think it does because when the trade was made this morning, that wasn't a guarantee. The Jets restructured his contract. He is, like you said, Zay, he's going to be under contract the next few years. You could tell watching that Netflix wide receiver series with Adams, these two guys are very close. They have a great relationship. I wonder if Adams has any regrets about leaving Green Bay and going to the Raiders. But I do think, I don't think Rodgers wants to go out like this. We know how competitive he is. The fact that the season hasn't gotten off to such a great start, I think, attributed to the fact that they were able to get this deal done. And he still showed us last night he could play. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in the game. So, yeah, I do think Rodgers will be here at least the next 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, with Rodgers, that's the kind of cat that you can never say anything with conviction with. In regards to him. I mean, last night I saw the game and the ending of that game, and I saw him on the bench, looking sad. And it reminded me of the same guy that, I'm at home in Green Bay, lost to the Lions with a chance to make the playoffs. And it was all in his court. He failed, and he had the same look on his face. And we all know what happened after that look. Now you get Davante Adams here in New York. So right now, he's feeling a little bit momentum. But who knows when it's all said and done, he has another opportunity to win a big game and he fails. If he gonna get that same look that we always get from him, after the game is over, and then the retirement claim. And listen, man, the Packers already dealt with it. The Jets are gonna have to deal with it too, whether or not it means he retires after this year or not. But I would like to play the clip from Pat McAfee today as we end here on this topic.
As soon as you hear the news, what's that? Well. Hey, good to see you, Tay. Good to see you, man. Congrats.
What's up, fellas? Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Everybody's holding hands and singing Kumbaya right now, but we'll see what happens come January, if we get to January.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.